Good morning, Stefan.
Good morning, Jaimee.
How are you this morning?
Oh man, when I woke up, I was just like, it's Thursday.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's funny how, yeah, it gets exciting. Like it's an exciting thing I look forward to.
Yeah, it was like I wonder what it's going. Yesterday was very busy, and then today I went to bed thinking, today I'll just get to chill, and then I woke up and I go, it's Thursday.
It's Thursday. Well, happy Thursday to you.
Yes, happy Thursday.
I'm moving my mic around here for just a second in case that's picking up some sound. I wanted to readjust the location.
All right.
Oh, well, how has your week been?
My week been is, I don't really. The funny thing is I don't remember much from the week. I just yesterday was very busy. Like I don't.
Busy with what kind of stuff?
Well, well, we have quite a bit happening at Where Next right now. We just we're allowed to talk about it, but we just closed a deal in which USAID is putting $42 million worth of development money into Colombia.
Woo!
So that is for sustainable tourism initiatives. And we, it's just created a lot of excitement and work. And uh, atypical to business in Colombia, when there's US money coming in, the US people have a different kind of like, you know what the work ethic is like in the US and in tech companies and in
Right.
startups. It's like everybody knows to the grindstone, we got to get this thing rolling. And in
Right.
Colombia, it's like, this is great. We can get this going in January, but it's
Oh, it's like,
right. So
well, it
well,
is.
no, the plane is landing and we need to
Yeah.
make the runway right now.
Yeah. That's, it's like the best kind of challenge though, right? Like I feel like
It's
with
what we signed up for. It's what,
exactly. It's like what you hope will happen.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is we worked so hard to land this deal, and it's not like the $42 million is all running through our company. This is
Right.
money that is will be distributed over the next 5 years for tourism, sustainable tourism, developing um, economic initiatives that help this sector grow in Colombia. So it's very specific. And our agency is the agency on the ground that will execute and help develop a lot of these initiatives.
I think
And
that's so
so
cool.
that's super exciting.
That's cool. It's work
So
you want to
there's,
be doing, work you created.
yes. And then, but we never thought about, okay, once we get the deal, then what do we want to do? Where do we want to go with the company? Right.
Yeah.
We were so focused on the process of getting the deal and getting the right people together that now we're standing on the mountain metaphorically, and we
Mhm.
are looking out to the horizon and still trying to manage all the stuff that's going on. And I'm not in the thick of it because I'm not in Bogota. But I'm on the periphery. And so we have lots of phone calls and strategy and thinking about, okay, now also, as all the companies in all small businesses, in especially in tourism, adventure tourism sector, and in the advertising agencies, everybody had to hunker down during the pandemic, right? So then it was a totally different mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're not making as much money. We have to trim expenses. We have to figure out, do we need all these people? Do we even need the office, right? And
Yeah.
and now it's like, well, yeah, we're going to hire 20 people, right? So the psychology has to do a complete 180,
Yeah.
and the planning psychology has to do complete 180. And then we also have to think about paying off debts, right? Like everybody, most businesses got some kind of SBA support. Although those loans they're cheap money. They're not expensive to maintain, to service that loan. But credit card debt, all of the things that you get into or that we got into as a business just to keep things rolling and to stay healthy during the pandemic, right? We
Yeah.
invested in our business. Um, we took a risk and invested in our business, and now it's paid off. But now we have to, and we've talked about this before. It's like what got you there is not necessarily what's going to get you moving forward, right? The
Yeah.
frameworks and the psychology and the spirit has to change now.
Yeah. It is interesting how that dynamic is constantly in flux. And I think, a lot of what we talk about is being able to let go and to, like let go of frameworks that existed, let go of what was in order to allow what is and what what will become. Not to sound all Lord of the Ringsy there, but like, but it's what has yet come to pass. But yeah,
As we walk into the depths of the
yeah.
forest.
No, I just think like with with picture this for example too, in like in parallel, we've been through such a roller coaster with that. We launched in 2016 to uh a tech crunch right up the day we launched, which is kind of unheard of. And then it went bananas. It went bananas from day one for the first 8 months, and then when the dust sort of settled and it kind of everything equalized, and then it kind of just dwindled. We were at this time last year, we were planning to close the doors in January of 2022, and we were like, it's just time. Like for us, we never took a dime of investor money. We put our own money into it, Ken and I. And it took $250,000 of our own money to keep it alive during the pandemic.
Mhm.
um, and then we were like, with the money that we're putting into this, what could we be doing instead? And we decided to step back in 2021, or sorry, early 2022. We decided to step back from, I don't even know what year it was. It was 2021. We decided to step back and kind of just start living a little more with some distance between us and the
Mhm.
business. And I think that we saw the sales like really dive. We were putting money into it just to keep the doors open, but we did. And then this year everything turned around. Like January, the month we were planning to start shutting it down, we had a lease till August, so we were like, we've got time to do this slowly, and at our own pace. We got a lot of stuff over there, a lot of big equipment that would need to be sold and moved, and so we were like starting to look into that in January after the holidays. Um and then January took off. January took off. So we do Picture This, and Picture This also does Sam Barsky, the internet sensation and amazing knitter. We do t-shirt replicas of his artworks and his stuff. He had been using TikTok, and then he started using his TikTok videos on like Facebook Reels and Instagram stories, or what, I don't know if I have those technically labeled correctly, but he started using his videos that he was already creating for TikTok in other areas. And it
Mhm.
like tripled his sales. And when his sales tripled, it was enough to cover our expenses without us putting a dime in. And that grew from January. It got better in February, it got better in March, it got even better in April. Then it kind of leveled. So we were like, okay, let's see what happens here, but we're going to just write it out. And then by the time we got to August, July was the only slow month we've had. It has just, he had a record day on Black Friday. We've done fine on the Picture This side, has not stopped or slowed down. This is our busy season. Um, it's just bananas. Anyway, so now we're rethinking, right? We're like, we,
BANAA.
yeah.
And
And it's just like, and then
Gwen
you
Stefani
know,
is singing in the background.
it's very true. And then like, you know, in parallel to that, I took on a 12 months with the company, right? Like a contract full time, basically. I mean, I work from home. It's very comfortable in, you know, I pace it how I pace it. But with now I'm like going to the shop at like I drive Zia to school at 6 a.m. She has a 6 a.m. drop off. And I go to the shop, which is 5 minutes from her school. I cut as many orders as I can. I prioritize stacks. I pack and ship so that Wilson can focus on sewing. And then, oh man, we've got extra hands in there cutting. We bought a laser cutter, but we haven't had time to set it up. So we'll have it set up just in time to be, you know, for the holidays rush to be over. Oh, anyway. So, but yeah, I guess going back to, you know, it's letting go of what was and embracing what is and trying to plan the best you can for what needs to happen to grow forward.
Yeah, I mean, the the trick is for us is we were in this poverty mentality for so long, right? The pandemic just forced that kind of poverty mentality on everyone. And it's like, well, how can we do less? How can we do less? How can we do less? And
Yeah.
now it's like, well, one, we have to do more because we are going to get paid to do more. And also get employees in a different mode, right? Employees we're also learned how to be. Part of it is our fault as leaders in the company, but employees have learned how to be slackers,
You know,
right?
it's interesting though, that term, right? Okay, so this brings up a great thing because in what I'm working on with play studios is people and culture and balancing out, you know, like creating programs so people can grow and be engaged and crank, right? Like as a company, you need people like to go, but at the
Yeah,
same time, we have to look out for our mental health and we have to look out because burnout is rampant in our industry in tech, right? Like, and not just in tech, but burnout is so common.
yeah. Well, the I mean, I would say with us and in general, burnout isn't necessarily a worry for us because our company is very recreationally oriented. Our challenge is to when they're at work to get them to focus so that the that we're getting the best out of them while they're there,
Yeah.
because they're, on the weekends they're off cycling in the mountains. They've got plenty of recreational stuff to do because our company was founded by outdoors people,
Right.
dirtbag cyclists, climbers. And so we definitely have more of that Patagonia minded psychology at the company. What we don't have with our young people, and what we as executives in the company, what we have needed to do is to teach people how to be professionals, because a
Yeah.
lot of our people, a lot of our young people have never held a professional job in an office environment where you need to tell your boss when you're not going to show up, right?
Yeah.
You
Gotcha.
need to report when you're going to be sick. You
Like
need to learn how
things are
you
dependent
need to
on
learn
you.
how to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's not just like, oh, I'm feeling um I'm not feeling well today. I'm not coming to work. Well, okay, that forces a business decision. Are you sick? Are you going to take a sick day? Or are you going to take a day off? Or are you actually going to work? Right? Like that, there's three business decisions there, and each one of them has in legal implications. And so our job is to teach people how to be professionals, young people, because that is not happening in colleges. It's not, I mean, who, I mean, I guess when we were kids, there were things like typing class and learning how to put memos together. And there was, there were things in my world. And I had a really great professional mentor at my first professional job who
Yeah.
taught me how to do these things, how to ask for a meeting or someone's time, how to write a memo, how
Yeah.
to communicate within an organization, and also learning, like, if this person is your boss, then you actually have responsibilities to that person.
Yeah.
And they have responsibilities to you, to treat you in certain way, to treat you in certain ways, and to give you work in certain ways, and to check up on you and make sure that you're professionally, that you're okay. And so these are all the growing pains of any startup organization. And we're just at that next level where we're making a jump.
Yeah.
And you and I have been in these organizations that make the jump from 500,000 to 2 million in revenue. And then, 2 million to 10 million, 10 million. You at Zappos, especially,
Hmm.
Zappos, I think when we met with you guys, Zappos was, they were running at 16 million per day,
Yep.
right? 16
Yeah.
million dollars in
Yeah.
sales per day.
Yeah. And that then like that Black Friday, we had like a $17 million day or whatever. We had like the 21 million. I remember hitting like 21 or 22 million. It was like a record day. It was just
Yeah.
wild though, a
Yeah,
day.
but this is, yeah, and this is from a company that's, started in the same way. Picture this: clothing
Hmm.
started same exact way, right? And like, when I remember at Image Kind, when we had our first $1,000 day,
Yeah.
right? It was like, woo, this is awesome.
What was crazy with Picture This, we had our first $10,000 day before we had shipped a single item because of the whole viral nature of
Yeah.
thing. I would think it was funny because we have such a weird, you know, it's like you have to download the template, create it, and then actually come back to place an order, unless you buy a gift certificate on the spot. But we were still in kind of like just see if it will work mode. We were like, let's throw this out there and see what happens. Like, will people actually come back to place the order? And so like we'd launched it and announced it. And for the first 3 or 4 days, we had 1 or 2 orders, even though we had that TechCrunch write up. It took that time, right? There was this
Yeah.
lull, like the calm before the storm. And meanwhile, like every day something new was coming up. It was like the first day it was TechCrunch, then it was like Product Hunt, and then we were featured on Disney's Babbel.com, and then
And
Huffington Post. And
Facebook, like 24 million
it
views.
was it was a now this was they did that was the thing that got us to our 10 million or 10 sorry $10,000 day. Was Now This, the news outlet, did an interview of like a Skype interview with me. And it was Skype back in the days. No, but they did a Skype interview with me, and then they put together this amazing montage video and they posted it on Facebook, and it was like 3 million views in less than 24 hours. And then, I mean, it ended up kind of leveling, it kept going and going, and it hit 40 million views before it
Yeah.
fizzled out, and we were like, oh my God. And then, $10,000 day. And then that didn't, we were like, okay, we really have to ship now. We have to, and everything that could break broke. Everything. Our website crashed. Our image process was messed up, very manual, and we had to fix a lot very quickly. And then, then we were ready for this like crazy volume, and then it leveled out after about 8 months, and we were used to bringing in 80 grand a month for 8 months in a row. I mean, I think we did 1.2 million in the first year. It was bananas. and then I want to say it held that for the first 2 years. It was 2018 before it started leveling out, and we
Mhm.
launched in 2016. So it was just and then that takes this adjustment, right? Like, I mean, it was,
Yes.
and I had a full-time, I think a COO for a small tech company at the time. When we launched that, I was doing COO work for a different app dev company. And then I had to let go of that in order to focus full time. And it's just, it's funny when you talk about like the hustle. We talked about this, I think, way back in like episode 2 or early on in these conversations about kind of how we were designed almost, like a lot of self-reliance and a lot of, we had to figure stuff out, how to make it go early on and how to survive in a way. We had hardcore parents, and I know we say, like, let go of what was, and nothing defines us, but in a way it built some things, right? It built some tools.
Well, sure, exactly. I mean, we are geared for this, to sort out the solutions in this kind of chaos and function when other people might be, out over their skis.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we do, like, in order to go beyond that, then we need to let go of doing everything, right? This is, I mean, and this
Which is
is the,
very challenging sometimes.
right.
Yeah.
It is the entrepreneur's dilemma. And it's why many founders of great giant companies end up with some advisorial, role
Yeah.
in the company, but they're not running the company anymore because they couldn't make the switch. They couldn't adapt to that next level. And again, you and I have been part of companies like
Yep.
that, where
Absolutely.
all of a sudden there's, $4 million coming through the books, for somebody who hasn't ever, had a company where, 500,000 was like a insane
Yeah.
for them. And then they weren't prepared, didn't know how to deal with the abundance. We're still in the kind of
Scarcity mindset.
scarcity, hunkered down fear mode. And
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
That's something, yeah, like, so kind of what you were talking about with where next too, right? Like you sometimes, like, you have to be in survival mode. Like there's just, like you just, there are
Yeah.
conditions that require that sort of adjustment. And then, I think another thing that we talked about is sometimes you get into that rhythm, and then you need to switch very quickly. Like, you get a, what did you say, $42 million deal, and
Yeah.
now you gotta go. Now it's time to go again. And that's kind of like with us with Picture This. It's we were shut down for 16 straight days during when the pandemic first happened, and then we were allowed to reopen. I think 16 days later, and then we actually had a pile up of orders because it was something kids could do while they were stuck at home. A great activity.
Yes.
And which is why we were able to reopen. And because we don't have a storefront, we're just basically a manufacturing shop. And so anyway, but then as things dwindled out, 2020 was a healthy year. And then 2021 was really devastating because we had such a strong year. But then the pandemic kept going, and all of this uncertainty, and people are like, "Ooh, I'm not spending on a luxury item or whatever," which Picture This is very much a luxury item. And then so it just went down. We were very lucky to have the personal funds to keep it going, without too much stress. We didn't require an investor or investment or debt. We didn't take on any debt, other than personal. And so no credit card debt, no loans, nothing like that. But yeah, I would love to pay us back someday. I do think
Yes.
that we'll get there. I actually think right now, but we are at that spot right now. We're at a tipping point where we have to adjust very quickly to a very rapid growth that happened. I mean, like we've seen Sam's stuff slowly building month over month. And then Black Friday, he had his first $10,000 day. And, like that's incredible. That's an incredible milestone, but we've not seen it drop back down. So we're like, okay, yesterday was the order by deadline for Christmas delivery. Now we're going to see what happens. But January is
Yes.
going to be a very telling month, right? Like, so we're ramping up to handle higher volume. We bought more equipment. So the profits that we've actually, like, we've got more profit than normal, but we've got to put it back into growth. And, it's just like this constant, like, trying to stay up on it. But then do we, that profit that we take to put into this big machine that will now cut things for us rather than me over there doing it with a rotary cutter by myself, or we've got help. But, it's just, oh man. Will it be overkill for the volume that next year brings, or will it
Well,
sustain or
well,
grow?
these are the decisions. I mean, whether it's equipment or people, we
Mm-hmm.
make those same decisions. It's like, this is the team I have. What is the product that I can sell? Right. So it comes down to, where do I want to put my energy? Where do I want to put my sales energy in my company? And these are the discussions we're happening, because we have multiple divisions in our company. We have sustainable tourism consulting. We have a small travel concern. And then you could say we have the creative agency, and we have film production team.
Yeah.
We have a film production team. We could do an hour-long natural history documentary anywhere in the world, and it will be first class. We know we have the best team for that, but is that the best business, right? Do we put our energy into that business? We also understand that Colombia right now, in Colombia, the work that we're doing right now may be top of the heap work, right? This is maybe the best we can do in Colombia. So then what are our other opportunities outside? Like, we have to look beyond and have to look at, where do we want to put our sales energy? Where do we want to put our development energy? Because the founding team, the people holding the candle to the vision, there's only so much energy and so many candles to light, that I can hold, or that Greg can hold, or that our executive team, where they can put their energy. And so the decision making process, it has just completely opened up right now. We're trying to look at everything. We're trying to look at, same thing, how do we pay the founders back
Yeah.
for this getting through the pandemic? So you have to kind of prioritize, where does the money go, and then where does our personal energy go?
Yeah.
Now that we know that the money is coming in, that the come and it's we can be confident about it. And the funny thing is I was having a conversation with, to go back to picture this,
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with our artist friend Julius Brown,
Yeah.
who picture this, printed a couple of shirts, and he's like, I'd really like about 40 shirts. I'd like to, like, I'm printing up some new stuff. And I'm like, this could be a turnkey business for you.
Yeah.
Just do the same thing that Sam did. Just set up a store just like Sam did, because I can tell you that Picture This is geared up to do this now.
We absolutely are.
Right. And
And
so that's a conversation. We'll put that on a sidebar, but that's a
yeah.
conversation to have with Julius.
Well, let me know if he wants to talk, because I didn't mean for this to turn into like a whole business call, but for real, like, I am, Ken and I put about $10,000 of our own money to help get Sam set up, like, because we wanted it to be right, and we wanted to kind
Yeah.
of oversee the creative, because his focus is making sweaters. He doesn't,
Yeah.
his, so we wanted him to stay focused on what he's good at and not have to worry about anything else. So the deal that we have with him is, you let us handle this 100%, and we'll, basically license. It's almost like a licensing deal. It's a little different with Sam, but I love the deal that we have with him. I love working with him. It's very easy. And the way that we set it up, and I think it could work great with Julius. And I think that, he's got his own stuff, and I can show him how to set up the files, and he could go bananas,
That's
and then we can get it, a store set up for him.
that's his, frankly, that's his only concern is just like, I want to have, because he does a lot of automation in his
Mhm.
rendering process, and he just wants to come up with, he just wants to know how I can set up an automation to
Yeah.
get you the files so that that the quality is
Easy peasy.
easy, right? And I know that we can do that.
Yeah. I
So,
think that done.
so that,
Let's talk to Julie.
yeah, so that's a, so, and he's still here this week. He's in Seattle right now. His studio is in Milwaukee. So
Oh,
he's between Milwaukee and Seattle a lot.
oh, that's great. You know, we love going to Milwaukee. Ken's sister has a cabin outside Milwaukee and
Oh,
not far. So we go out to visit every now and then. And getting out to Milwaukee is actually easier for me than getting to Seattle. So if we ever need to do a face to face with Julian, that's
oh, he would love it because right, because he's got his getting his studio set up out there, and
I
he's
love it.
starting to do in the windows of his studio doing some projection art, so just projecting
Nice.
his stuff. So there's a lot of, and and Milwaukee is an incredible art scene. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
they
is. I
just
love it.
that's and Seattle used to be an incredible art scene in the 80s and 90s, during the grunge era. There was an incredible amount of art and people making art in and around downtown. So many studios, so many kind of half empty buildings with people making art, making music. And because Seattle's become such an expensive city,
Yeah.
the artists aren't here anymore. The galleries have to sell art from artists from all over the world,
Yeah.
basically from New York, from LA. You don't see as much local art at all. And so the energy has changed, but Milwaukee, um,
They
it's
have an
just,
incredible art scene. I love it. I
and
actually really would love to consider moving out that way. I
yeah,
really would. Oh.
well, Julius can tell you all about it. That and Because he loves it there, and
Yeah.
he grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
And
See,
so
and like
he,
I like the little more ruralness and little like right outside Milwaukee. Like you can it gets really rural out there and I really like that. I think that's me going back to my roots a little and that's what I'm looking for, a little space.
we've we had a so You were frozen there for a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit,
for a
and
second.
when you were waxing poetically about Milwaukee, the love
Oh.
of the rural nature of Milwaukee.
um
Yeah, so the it's funny also, like the mood and the energy in Seattle. It's just a lot of tech money, a lot of young people looking in their phones. Like art, like the physical material art scene isn't as important.
yeah.
People don't care about necessarily having beautiful things, or I don't know what I guess I don't know how to categorize it, but the importance of art, certainly in Seattle, is not there anymore. Art is now for wealthy people, really wealthy people in Seattle.
Interesting. That is
And
interesting.
you go to Milwaukee, and the vibe of, like, have you been to the art museum, the Calatrava
I have
designed
not
art museum? Oh my
proper, but I
gosh.
stayed at the St. Kate when I was there this summer, which is it's got art gallery. It's a hotel, an art themed hotel. I don't know if you're
Yes.
familiar with it, but
Do they have a residency there for local artists? That I think I've heard that there's a residency there.
it might be, but they've had different artists curate different rooms, so you can stay in like a room designed by this artist or this artist, and then there are 5 or 6 little galleries down in the lobby with different shows that rotate
Hmm.
out. But it's a really yeah, I enjoyed our experience there. Our experience was very it was a very thoughtful experience. I took the girls and yeah, we stayed there and then we went out and visited Angela and Josh and Coco at the cabin, the lake house.
I s- uh, I saw Coco on Instagram.
Yeah,
The-
she's a
the
cutie.
other day. Um, so Milwaukee Board of Tourism, this is your plug.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
This is
Seriously. I
the
do love it out
the
there.
the Unconstrained podcast.
There are three
Boost.
listeners. Hello.
Hello.
I saw that we had 3 subscribers, Stefan. Woo!
We do. I know. I just. I have somebody. I have somebody who is learning about us through the. I know who's learning about us through the podcast.
That's
So,
great. That's great.
hi, hello, Jacqueline. Thank you.
That's I don't know if my friends will make it this far, but I've shared it with a couple folks. So.
Yeah, I'm still hesitant. It's kind of a Seinfeld moment. Is like, is this really something? Is this
I know.
something?
Is it something I want to share with people? Like, are we formulated? Is it, but here's what I love though, is that, like the excitement of showing up today, it's Thursday. And even though
Thursday.
like this has been a very different vibe, I think, than normal, but I feel like it still ties in, right? Like the day to day ties into the bigger picture all the time. And that whole, like I feel like we're both in yeah, like periods or phases of the moment where it's a shift, it's a time of shift. And like um and there's just something really interesting about the ability to embrace change very quickly, and the willingness, and not only willingness but the desire to embrace change. Like I get excited when things get like this, and force me out of my comfort zone, because we have to move quickly to seize the moment of opportunity, or that moment goes away. I mean,
Yes. Yeah. The other thing. So we have this, the like being aware, being ready for the moment of opportunity, recognizing it, and then being able to move. And the only way to move is you have to let go of whatever you're holding on to. You have to
yeah.
move.
Well, and then okay, and then layer in what we talk about so much is creating space around us, right? The space for opportunity to drop in. And then when it does, suddenly that space is like, I got to put it all right here. Like everything I've got needs to go right here, right now. And then hopefully, you build that space again, like the space around it gets filled.
Yeah.
But
Or hopefully also we learn to keep and not that we completely immerse ourselves. I know that I am easily immersible,
mhm,
which is what makes me good at certain things, certainly puzzle solving and rock climbing. And
yeah,
there are a variety of things that this kind of easily immersible mind can accomplish. But hopefully, as we are putting energy in, that we maintain enough awareness to keep our eyes up so that we recognize, right? Because the trick is to be able to keep looking toward the horizon so that we can see things approaching us, right? To not be so uh, nose down that we miss things that might be critical to moving us forward, right?
yeah,
Like it's like the and and this is also where it helps to have people who are specialists. This is the part of growing any kind of enterprise, is there needs to be somebody in the enterprise who has their head up looking to the horizon,
yes,
and there need to be specialists, right? But in the beginning of any startup, every entrepreneur needs to be able to do both, needs to be able to have their nose down, get stuff done, but also continue looking up and keep focusing on the goals and the objectives and the actions and the thoughts and the feelings that are going to move the company forward.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and that's the thing too, is the things that move a company or an organization or a team forward, the foundation of what moves people forward, it's not a list of stuff to do. It's actually the feelings at the bottom. The feelings are at the bottom. the thoughts and feelings are at the bottom of the pyramid, right? Everybody needs to have their thoughts and feelings aligned.
Yeah,
Then the actions will align above that. Then those feed into the
that
goal, the objectives, and then those feed into the larger goals, and then that feeds into the vision for the where the company's going, right?
exactly. So that's, that is why core values work so well. Like companies who have very well articulated core values and who, so this is actually like part of my work with Play Studios is they have core values and they believe them. And, like the company was built on some amazing core values, but in going through the orientation and onboarding process there, it felt disconnected in a way that like it was never really reinforced. Like, and I'm going through it partially to understand what other people experience when they're being hired, so that I can offer this feedback. But this is kind of where I've landed on the feedback is like, okay, you have these amazing core values, but they're not being bubbled up again and again and again, other than, here are the core values, these three things, right? Like these three pillars or foundations, roots. And like we kind of hear them, but really understanding how they manifest through the work you do every day. That is the job of a great leader, I think. We have to remind our teams why there's a value in what we're doing, why there's a core value behind the why is everything, right? And
Yes, because belief, if you believe in something, it turbocharges everything. Belief
exactly.
turbocharges everything. It is um, right. It is the force that drives fundamentalism and cult religions, and not that we should use that as illegitimate currency, but the trick is to find people who fit into this world where under the umbrella of the goals of the company and the beliefs that the company holds. And if people fit into that, then it is about reminding them why they're here, that we're
And
doing
that,
this together. It's like
yes,
this is I hope why you are here. And we have a very strong culture at Where Next. And what we need to do also we also need to change the culture in a way now because we're growing, right? So the
yep,
growth also demands a
yes,
change
shift
in
in
the
culture. Yeah,
cultural values. Um, and so then that demands new people. It demands new people who have the same kind of ambitions.
yeah,
Now we are hiring new people who have um, broader ambitions, who also want to be mentored. They want to have authority to make critical decisions instead of us being, as leaders in the company, being responsible for all the critical decisions. Now we're distributing that. We're changing the culture. We're becoming more professional.
yeah. Well, and in that, this is like we talked about Zappos for a minute earlier on, and I go back to my experience at Zappos a lot because I did get to work with Tony, the CEO at the time. I got to work directly with Tony, and I learned a ton from Tony. And like one of the major things that I took away from my experience was he was very clear about what his vision was. I found that when I was more in middle management, a lot of things that got filtered, right? Through the people who they interpret it for, I wasn't in direct contact with Tony at first, right? But then I realized at one point that I was getting like 8 different messages from 8 different people and none of them were aligning. So I asked my boss, I was like, can I just ask Tony what Tony thinks? Because I'm hearing all these other things from all these other people. And he's like, sure, come on. We walk down the hall, we sit down, we grab Tony for 10 minutes. And Tony's like, blah, blah, blah. He said some things that were crystal clear to me. And so it was then all of the noise was out of the way. and I guess like kind of going back to the one of the most valuable things I learned from working with Tony was that through his leadership, his main priority was like, yes, setting the vision, but clearing the obstacles out of the way for the people that were hired so they could just get it done. So like, what do you need? What's stopping you? How can I help? Those were that was, he's like, here's what I am looking for. Here's why I'm looking for it. What do you need? And then I got it done. It was, yeah.
Those are questions I ask. I ask those very same three questions of
Yeah.
the people that work on our teams, because I don't want to have to interpret it for them, right?
Yeah.
I want them, that reason that we've hired them is because we believe in their ability to do the job.
Yeah.
And I don't want to impose like they should be better than me at this job
Yeah.
right now. And this is the switch. This is the critical switch in going from a, let's say, small entrepreneurial business to moving into an enterprise, is that it requires that the founders hire people who are better than them at any given specific task. Because as an entrepreneur, we have to learn everything, every part of the business, from accounting to fulfillment to making the widgets to, we have to learn it all and we have to get pretty darn good at it. And then when it grows, the only way to grow it is to get people who are better at
Yeah.
those individual tasks than we ever could imagine being or becoming. And then to get the obstacles out of the way so that person can be the best widget maker or the best accountant or the best customer service person, right? Or the best delivery person they can be, because they have to be better at it than I ever was
Yeah.
in
Well,
order for our
otherwise you
business
may
to
as well
grow.
do it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But I can't. And
Yeah.
so there's no way for it to grow because I can't do everything in the business. And that is one of the dilemmas, right? Where everyone gets stuck in the growth. And even at the scale of $5-10 million, there's still people who are micromanaging their charges there. And that is a complete hindrance to growth.
It sure is. And like I've been guilty of it myself. I gotta get my, I need to do it. I feel like if I don't do it, it's not gonna get done right sometimes. And getting out of the way and trusting sometimes, and this is something too, like that I've had to let go of just stand back and watch how your team executes the task, because you may learn how to do it better yourself. And that's something that I've had to learn too, by just like, even, as something as silly as it may seem in the manufacturing process, Ken and I knew nothing about manufacturing when we started Picture This, nothing. And we've learned how to do it from end to end, right? But like, you learn a lot by watching. We went over to, you met Jeff, who helped us get started. Jeff's still
Yeah.
there helping us all the time. He's our next door shop neighbor. And, it's like watching his team, learning from his team. He's been very gracious in allowing us to just kind of see how he does things. And he's run massive shops and little shops and everything in between. But like, for me, sometimes like I'll have a way of doing so. I have a way I like to pack the clothes. And because I feel like I do it with such care, like I care about those pieces when they're going in there. I have so much heart invested in what we do, especially, these kids make this stuff. I am very connected to what we create. And I feel like, it's hard to find somebody who's going to put the heart and care into packing clothes and shoving it in an envelope, right? Like, but I do it every piece. And so for a while I stood back to watch, like, how is this getting done? Because I would get some returns. I still do customer service quite a lot. But I was like opening some of the returns and these packages are just disheveled and a little like, I was kind of like horrified by what I was finding. So I'm like, okay, I got to revisit the process, right? So I learned some good things, and then I learned where I needed to kind of come in and retrain, right? But I've learned a lot along the way, how I can cut better to make the process easier for the person sewing. And I've learned how to pack better to make it faster for, you know, like folding t-shirts. You can fold a t-shirt 15 different ways or more, but like I was doing it one way and my team was doing it another way, and I stood back long enough. I had to let go of my way, my care invested way, to learn that there's a better way. And I don't know, sometimes getting the ego out of the way.
Well,
um
and this is one of the major growth problems you've exposed here for any business, is that if if you can't get to the belief that there are people who are better than you at this, and that they can do the job better, they can do it faster, they can do it more efficiently, they can do it with just as much joy, we have to believe that there are people out there who are better than us at all the different tasks that it takes to grow our particular business. If you don't have that, you will forever be stuck
yep.
in managing and trying to do it your way. And our way is just, again, it's just the way that got us there, right? Our way just is just the way that got us there. There are an infinite number of ways to grow a business. And if we believe that those people are out there, then we will find people who are awesome to do the work. Like we recently hired somebody who just is more professional than the founders of the company, just the way we've been behaving, because
Mhm.
it's been easy to do that and the company has grown and we've done cool projects. But now we know as founders that we need a level of professionalism that we are not exhibiting for our employees.
Yep.
And
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know too. And it takes seeing it, but it takes that, I think you have to be willing to see it too, and willing to let go, and willing to step back and say, you know what, I'm not the end all be all here. Like I got this thing started. Now it's time for me to step out. And honestly, like with Ken and I, you know, I feel like the pandemic and the slowdown was forcing us to learn how to step out of it so
Mhm.
that Wilson could step up and really own it. And, you know, by doing so, it gave Ken and I more space to focus on other things, other ways to scale, other ways to grow. For me to go back into doing something I love, which is the people, you know, the people side of things. We have a team that runs quite well without me. The holidays, yes, I need to be in there helping. They need an extra pair of hands, you know? So that's all I am when I'm there right now. I'm an extra set of hands helping get stuff done, but they don't need me to be in there telling them how and you know, anymore.
Jamie, Jamie, you are on the bench.
I am. And I actually,
you're
it's the best place for me because I
you're on the
have
bench.
time to focus on all these other little projects. I have a lot of loose ends and a lot of open things that I need to close the loop on. And, you know, getting the opportunity to go do some stuff with Play Studios has been one of the healthiest things for me in a long time.
Mhm.
It's gotten me, I have engagement with new people that I don't know. So I'm getting to learn. And, you know, I used to get my people fix from speaking at conferences. And then the pandemic kind of knocked that uh, out of my world, you know, and it didn't just, as soon as we were speaking again, it's not like it just struck back up. It's like, you know, the whole world changed in a lot of ways too. And we're, you know, trying to make um, conferences, as they should be, are looking for more diversity, and they're looking for new voices. And so my time isn't there. My place isn't there right now. And that's okay with me. But I needed to find a way to reconnect with other humans and have new experiences and build new stories. And so Play Studios is exactly that for me right now. And I'm
Yeah.
loving that.
um, you said something earlier that sparked a thought about that we do this Thursday thing, and we're all over the place. And maybe it's, and I think the opportunity is when people are listening, that there's an opportunity to just enjoy the friendship, enjoy the randomness, and just have it on listening in the background, and to maybe be stimulated by one or two or three little thoughts that might come up, because we're usually distilling nuggets, we're
Yeah.
talking about our business experience. But I also think that one of the valuable things that we're doing here is showing the power of friendship, of building relationships, of being with other humans, and focusing on the positive,
Yeah,
right?
I love
We're
that.
not, there's no complaining going on. Occasionally there's a little complaining.
A little bits, but it's working through it though too. And I don't want to derail from what you were saying, but I have to call out that this conversation has helped me let go of some things that I needed to work through. And and thank you for that, because I think it's very common to get, our mind wraps around and holds on to things that hurt or things that are toxic to us. And this conversation has been helpful in reminding me that I am capable of letting go anytime I decide to. And
Yeah.
but yeah, so thank you for that. I mean, I feel like
Well,
that's been everything for me.
thank you for that as well, because there are many things that I feel like I'm getting out of this, and one of them is just the catalytic nature. Like, I take notes all the time while we're talking, because
Mhm.
I am reminded of things, business things that we want to push forward, people that we want to connect, like Julius. But I also thought of another friend of mine who is a Minneapolis artist, Michael Barauer, who already has a very big print sales and garment sales business, but it's more like silkscreen on
Yeah.
demand, silkscreen printing. It's not the full on
Sublimation.
sublimation printing. But his stuff, especially some of his new stuff, and he paints landmarks all over, like in Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago. Like, if you want a painting, just a really wacky, fun painting or print of the Green Mill in Chicago, or a hot dog place in Minneapolis, or there's any number of bars, and or the stadium Packers Stadium in Green Bay, right? Like, he's got stuff from all over the US, and it's so fun. At any rate, that's another conversation, and,
I love that though.
I'm off track here, but we will make those connections. So I'm taking notes all the time. So from a business standpoint, I hope that when people are listening, they're thinking about things in their own business, their own life, growing their their own personal growth. But also, I hope people get the feeling of the power of having a friend, and having conversations with our friends, and having the agreement that what we're talking about is just about growth, personal growth, moving forward, things that are expansive for us, things that bring us joy, seeing our friends, being with them in a positive circumstance. Like,
Yeah.
that this is a discipline. What we are doing today is a discipline. Like, we can hang out with our friends and complain, right? We can do that. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's fun. And I laugh about it with my geezer cohort at the coffee shop, because there's moments where I'm sitting there and I'm going, this just sounds like a bunch of old guys complaining,
Yeah.
the get off my lawn. Like, you
Yep.
guys have just gone to total get off my lawn mode, right? And that's funny when we can admit it. But that time could be so much more positive
Yeah.
if we had a little discipline about an agreement about where we want to go, what we want to talk about, how we treat each other in the conversation, and that it is that all of these moments that we have with the people we love and the people we enjoy, that those moments are special,
Yeah.
right? That they're special because there's this incredible opportunity to move forward or to expand, to increase the number of dimensions that we are aware of in our life, and to be grateful. Like last night, I was at the Adventure Travel Trade Association holiday gathering. So there were maybe 70 of us. There were some people from Colorado. There were some people from Canada. There were some people from Mexico there who have adventure travel concerns or properties, or cruise companies, big, like that do cruises in Antarctica. And, so but all of these people are very kind of free. They're involved in the adventure travel industry, right? So
Yeah.
it breeds a certain kind of openness and wonder and gratefulness. And but this group had not been together during the pandemic very much, right? Like we don't see each other. There's not usually there's a few events a year. These little they're called Adventure Travel Connect, where this group goes out. We go out and do things, kayak on Puget Sound, or and then network. But this hadn't happened, and there were some people who spoke so eloquently. Like one person just got up, and he is the chairman of a big travel company. They do stuff all over the world, and these people are all they're you wouldn't know them from anyone else. They're just dressed in their Patagonia and baseball caps and hiking
Okay.
boots, and they're all very relaxed, but they have some very big businesses. And one of them just got up and said, I just love this, the feeling, he had the perfect word for it. He just had the perfect word for the mood in the room. And I can't remember it. Maybe it'll come up. But he just goes, I just am so grateful to be here, to be with all of you, because I don't know if networking with all of you increases my business, but the value to my spirit, and I'm just broadly paraphrasing, but the value to my spirit of being here with all of you in this mood, the kind of, and when you're at a networking event, it's usually very positive because people are like, what's good? What's new? What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? Where are you going? What's happening in your business? How can I support you? And that's what it was. But we hadn't been in that environment for so long. And one of the other people who's kind of that, he's the unofficial MC of these events. He was like pulling out, the business card raffle for swag, and he was just hilarious. He said he had like a Deadpool holiday Christmas sweater on, and he was just like, I don't know about you guys, but this is my holiday party right here.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
awesome.
making the best of it.
I love that. I love that.
But the so again, it's probably, part of it is the pandemic pointing these things out, but even the act of being with our friends and being with business colleagues it's a deliberate act, but also we can apply this same kind of discipline to the way we interact and how we interact, and even the intention of interacting with the people we love or the business people that we work with. It's like going into the interaction of like, because I'm a little jaded from being in the tech industry where people say a lot of stuff and then they never do it.
Yeah.
Right. And the people in this Adventure Travel Trade Association, there, it feels like a family, right? I see the same people. I've seen the same people there for years, right? And people hug each other, and it's nice to see you, and they have their hands on each other's shoulders, and they're interacting in a very kind of loving and kind way. But in the tech industry, you don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily feel that way, but it's available. You, it is a discipline in the way we treat each other and in the way we show up for each other, and then in the way we decide to have conversations. And we've done that very deliberately here. We don't necessarily have a list of rules, but our, we do have, there are a lot of unwritten agreements about this conversation, and that we know that it's going to be positive, and that's the intention. And so we just keep it up, right? Like it
Right.
just, and whether through our nature or through our overt intention, it's just happening that way, and we're moving the ball forward. And so I hope when people listen to this, if they can, that they don't need to pay attention to necessarily the words, but I hope they're getting the feeling of what this is, because this is pretty cool,
I think
right?
so. I think so. I
No,
always, I walk into it with great excitement, and I always leave with like this great excitement, but it's even broader than it was when we started every time, and I hope that energy transmits, because it's a great energy source. It's a great source of growth and just absolute positive energy that I feel like has helped me navigate the last, I don't know, how long have we been doing this now? 6 months? I mean, yeah,
yeah.
we've been doing this about 6 months now. And I really, I love it. I feel like so much has unfolded in the last 6 months, so much growth. And yeah, there've been challenges, new challenges, but how I navigate every single one that pops up is informed by the conversations that we've had. And I feel like I'm better equipped for navigating those situations than I might have otherwise been, because I can tell you some of the challenges that I've had that maybe I don't even talk about on here have, on the more personal side even, have been challenging. And
Capital C,
it's
capital
capital
C.
C challenging and underscored and bolded. And, it's just, um, navigating those mentally, I feel more equipped because of these conversations. And I'm not sure I would be in the same space without having had these. So yeah, thank you. And I mean, I'm so excited to keep going. Where will this go if we keep going? Does it, I've had that thought too. Does it run out? Does it ever? But I don't think it does. Is it, that's the
No,
ever, that's the universe, right?
right.
There is no end. It's infinite.
Well, yeah. And yeah, I mean, our personal growth, there is
The
no, there
infinite
is no,
podcast.
the infinite. Yeah, maybe we need to change the name. We've gone from
People are like,
unconstrained.
oh no. Well, now
All
what have
right.
they
Well,
done?
we need to consider that season two we might change it to the Infinite
That's
podcast.
right. Well, and that actually introduces the question, where does season one end and season two begin?
I know
Is there?
I've been thinking about
Maybe there
that.
is no season. Maybe it's infinite. And
Well,
we
I was thinking of that exactly. And I've always liked w- factors of 108.
okay.
So 27, 36, 3, 9, 18. So 54. So I thought 27 might be a good season, because that might take us into the holidays, and then, because
Yeah.
we're on, is this episode 25 or 26?
This will be 26, I believe.
So
Hang on, look at our
maybe,
little thing. So we do one more and then we pause for the holiday.
Well, I don't know if I want to pause for the
We
holiday,
don't have
dude.
to. I don't need to. So
Whoa,
we just
dude.
start again. Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Wait a
This is
minute.
supposed to,
Like
we just talked about infinite.
we can do whatever we want.
That's it. Unconstrained infinite podcast. But
The
yeah, I
infinite.
believe this is 26. Um, so yeah, I want to double
Well,
check that. But yeah,
it doesn't matter because then, season 2 will just be episode 28, right?
right. That's right. So
We
yep,
can just
we just
whatever see we can yeah, actually we can just yeah, but at any rate, we can just make it totally arbitrary. That's the thing.
yeah, we really
So
can. But
we
I do
can.
like the, yeah, if we're gonna bundle it into seasons or whatever.
I
27 is a great
like I
season.
like
Yep.
27. Um oh, I just had there's so many thoughts that just blaze through my head so quickly that I
I
couldn't
know,
couldn't
right?
necessarily catch them.
So funny.
Oh, the one other thing too is we arrive there are moments where we arrive in these conversations where there is a real a tangible buzz,
Right, right.
right? An energetic buzz where I feel like there's energy coming out of the top of my head. It's just
Ah.
yeah, it is like that. It is that kind of cartoon. Oh, and I noticed the other night or last night at this Adventure Travel Trade Association holiday gathering that I was able to generate that really high level of positivity and joy and wonder with just in a few minutes, just meeting. I met somebody new and they seemed very grateful because they were just starting up a new adventure travel business in Croatia.
Oh, wow.
And they had a property in Croatia and they were doing these very special tours. And this person was young, maybe in their early 30s. And I really felt the joy. So I thought I'd just jump on. I really felt the joy and the gratitude and the wonder because he's meeting other people who are in the industry and maybe more experienced than him. So I just decided to jump on that bandwagon and do everything I could in that moment to just be grateful and talk about how cool what he was doing, how good that is, and relating to him on just getting to where he was and how unlikely it even was that we were here talking, but how wonderful it was. And sure enough, I had that buzz. Now, was that a selfish buzz? I don't know.
Does it matter?
Yeah, does it matter?
I was just curious.
Because I don't necessarily have the license that I do with him that I have with you to have conversate these types of conversations, but I could feel that this person was in a good or a grateful place.
Right.
And so I just thought I'd relate to it in any way I could and
Yeah.
see if I could take it up a notch. And so so at any rate, that was fun. The event was very fun, and there were some people there who were really not only fun but really funny. And it had been so long that I had felt like how when your face cramps up from
Yeah.
laughing.
I'm laughing so
I
hard.
had I
Yeah.
had a moment. I had a moment like that last night where it's like, oh my
Oh.
gosh, he is killing it. He is killing it as the raffle MC, right?
I love it.
Like he could be a professional, like auctioneers, he could be a professional raffle MC.
That's awesome. Maybe it's in his future and he doesn't even know it yet.
Yes. So Troy Glennon, if you ever listen to this, I endorse you as a professional raffle MC.
That's
you're
amazing.
you are the man. I have never seen a better raffle go off than when you
Uh,
are emceeing the raffle.
I love it. Oh man.
Or it was a drawing, I guess. Well, I guess you call it raffle drawing.
Yeah.
At any rate.
Synonymous. We did it.
Well, I think we've done it again.
I think we did. I think that
think
we
we-
reached our
I think we've done it again.
conclusion of this amazing episode of
Yeah.
Unconstrained.
Thank you to our listeners for sticking with us through
Did you
this
make it
whole
to the
episode.
end?
If you made it to the end, congratulate yourselves on your mental discipline, and we hope you come back for more.
If anybody does, anybody out there is listening and has made it this far, leave a comment. Leave some sort of comment. Any comment.
Any comment. Yeah, leave an
If it
emoji.
hurts, we'll be all right.
Yeah, leave an
Let us
emoji.
know you're there. Proof of life.
Yeah.
No, it'd be great. It'd be great to I don't know,
Yeah, I mean-
interact, ask a question, throw out a
Yeah.
thought, like something we can seed our next conversation with. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know that anybody's made it this far yet. I think it would be really interesting to see as an experiment. So yeah.
It's not that we need to. This is obviously a big experiment in
I
self-indulgence.
Yeah, these are great conversations. I really do appreciate the energy and I don't know. There's a lot of personal growth here, and it's just that's what I want in my life. I want more personal growth. And if there are any other people out there also experiencing personal growth or seeking personal growth and maybe finding something here, I would love to hear from people. Maybe eventually we pull other folks into these conversations. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a good experiment, that if somebody actually has listened through a few of these episodes and they want to join us for a moment and jump on, and we accentuate the positive in your life, if we can do that, or if we can work through some puzzles with you. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. But
I totally agree. I think it would be a very welcome extension of our experiment.
Yeah.
All right, Stephan.
Unconstrained and to the infinite and beyond.
That's right. Well, until next week, have a beautiful week.
Thank you. And to you too. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.